we have with us tonight a very special guest, retired Judge Stephen Bailey. He is running for California Attorney General. Brave man, a patriot. I followed his campaign when I was campaigning for United States Senate. He is on location. He's out and about. He's working the campaign trail, and we're just so blessed to have him on the show. I'm going to share with you real quick a little bit about his background. It's vast, okay? If you want to know about this man, Judge Bailey, if you haven't heard about him, you've got to go to his website and read about him because his bio is huge. But basically, from his website, I pulled out little excerpts. It says he's the only candidate with a background and expertise in criminal law, vital, especially right now in California. He was an elected Superior Court judge in El Dorado County for 8.5 years, where he had assignments in criminal, civil, probate, and juvenile cases, and served 4 years as the presiding juvenile judge. Prior to the bench, he was in private practice handling criminal and administrative law for 19 years. He has a very substantial and lengthy background. He knows his stuff, folks. He was a certified criminal law specialist. He's certified by the California State Bar Board of Legal Specialization. He was also deputy director in charge of legislation for the California Department of Social Services under the late Governor George. Cut off, sorry about that. Judge Bailey is calling on Californians of all political persuasions. That I love, by the way. California is diverse. He's calling on them to unite in support of his campaign to bring a fair and impartial approach to the Attorney General's office and refocus the state's top law enforcement position on reducing crime, which we have, it's vast. And I'm going to go ahead and quote. It says, California needs an Attorney General focused on solving our problems, not fighting Washington, D.C. Welcome to the show, Judge Bailey.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, you've been campaigning up and down the state. Most people have heard your name. But, I have to tell you, the thing I love about you is you get down to the law. We are in such a state of lawlessness here in the state of California. We need real tough solutions, and I believe that you're the man to do it. And what have you been facing in terms of the constituents, with Javier Becerra being currently in office? I mean, what is the climate out there? Are people really excited to be able to vote for you in November?
Yes, they certainly are. Here in California, we've got so many problems. Everything from education to public safety to having ballot titles and summaries written in such a way that, the average voter can, one, read them, right, and understand what is being voted on. And all of those are responsibilities. In much of that is the responsibility of the Attorney General. And frankly, we've got a guy whose, whole focus is every tweet that comes out of Washington, D.C. He can't find a tweet that he doesn't think justifies a lawsuit. Mm. And if you don't, if you think California's problems and, tax money is being wasted, this guy is the chief tax waster in California. He's suing the Trump administration for everything from a border wall, which, by the way, Congress had exempted from most of the environmental regulations that he's suing on, to suing the EPA and suing Trump on for discovery. And, you imagine it, there's a lawsuit on it here in California. As a judge for 8.5 years, I know that everything doesn't require a lawsuit. Some things just require sitting down with the other side and working it out. And that's what I did for 7.5 years as deputy director of the Department of Social Services. I worked with Republicans and Democrats in the legislature to solve problems that California was facing. Right. And that's what I want to do as the next Attorney General.
Right, and let's go back one more step, because not everybody who watches the show, or even many people who do, are interested in politics, but they might not understand what an attorney general actually does. Can you explain that to the viewers? What
Certainly.
Javier Becerra isn't doing, we know that.
That's right. The Attorney General has a number of different functions. One, the Attorney General is the chief law enforcement officer in California. As such, the Attorney General's focus has to be on protecting our neighborhoods, our kids, and our grandkids. But the Attorney General's office has a number of other functions, including the Attorney General is solely responsible for going out and getting the guns away from convicted felons, taking possession of those guns and making sure that those people don't go out and continue to victimize our neighborhoods. The Attorney General's also, believe it or not, responsible for writing ballot titles and summaries. So every initiative that you see on the ballot, that is the work of the Attorney General, writing those titles and summaries. What's important about writing a title and summary is that if you're going to vote to repeal the gas tax, you ought to be able to read the ballot title and summary and realize what you're actually voting on. As many of you are going to find out when you get the ballot booklet, it's going to make it sound like you're repealing the pothole work that's being done on your street. Nothing's further from the truth. The politicians in Sacramento raised your taxes, raised your car taxes, and have no intention of spending that money for roads and streets like they're promising you.
And besides the fact that this is out of his hands in a sense, but besides the fact that that's what they said that they were going to raise is not even close to where we were at the very beginning in terms of infrastructure costs that are, it won't even scratch the surface what they're asking to bring in with the gas tax. But the gas tax is a good point, because on that ballot initiative, it's yes on 6, right? You want to
yes
vote yes
on
6. But the way I termed it was, yes, I want to repeal the gas tax. Yes, I do. Yes on 6. Because the problem is the way they write it is so confusing. And like you said, Javier Becerra has a role in the faulty ballot initiatives. And that's a shame.
Yeah, he's solely responsible for it. So when you feel that you're being misled, you know exactly who to take to focus on.
The Delta Smelt debacle. Was I supposed to, the fish yes or the fish no, or what was that all about? And nobody knows what it's confusing. And it's important we have somebody in there that isn't so much concerned about Democrat or Republican or independent or no party preference or anything else. They're concerned about what is right and good, what is lawful, what is just, what is, they're about the process and serving the American people.
That's exactly right.
So,
the fundamental role of the Attorney General is to uniformly and fairly enforce the law.
Right.
Just like, we want our public servants to do. And right now, we're not getting public servants to go do that.
Right. Well, we have right now, and I'm sure you're aware of it, you travel the state and you're talking to many, many people. We have right now what's called the walkaway movement. And with that movement, more Democrats are leaving their progressive counterparts, right? And they're looking to vote for Republicans or looking to vote for people who they can support, who will support, process, the rule of law, freedom, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and all of that. The current downfalls of the current AG, Javier Becerra, are huge. Now, he's failing the state of California. Where is he failing? And how can electing you serve all Californians? Because that's what we need to know.
I think here is a perfect example of where he's failing Californians. His responsibility, as I previously mentioned, is to go out and make sure that felons and others that are statutorily prohibited from possessing firearms have their guns taken away from them. as opposed to going out and taking guns away from law-abiding citizens.
Right.
There's a list in California of 10,000 names. Last year, the legislature gave him $32 million to go out and collect those guns. You know how many people he collected guns from?
How many?
And got off the list? 300. $32 million. I mean, that's a pretty darn good payday if you can get $32 million and do as little work as he did last year.
It's costing Californians a lot of money we need and can use and spend in very fruitful ways that would protect our families. That's
exactly right. And, you know, those same felons are the ones that are going out and committing many of the crimes that we're concerned about today. You know, in the last 4 years, the violent crime rate in California has gone up over 15%. On this guy's watch, he hasn't done the job. It's time to get a new attorney general whose focus is on protecting California. And one of the ways of doing that is to go get those 10,000 people and take the guns away because, you know, we have said they are prohibited from possessing them.
Right.
Instead, what is our attorney general doing? He's out trying to register firearms in California and confiscate guns from law-abiding citizens in this state.
It's a shame. It's upside down and backwards, really.
It is.
It is.
And it doesn't get us justice, and it doesn't protect us. And that's what our focus as Attorney General needs to be. This isn't a Republican or a Democrat issue.
Absolutely,
this is an issue that impacts us all.
Right. And that's why I wanted to bring up the walkaway movement and the more moderate Democrats or, libertarians and independents and centrist Republicans who, because I think that people need to view this on a very basic level. What's right and wrong, and what we currently have isn't serving the population, and it's actually putting us in harm's way. I look at it this way. I'm a mom. My kids are both grown, but they're basically making things that were federal offenses misdemeanors. Things that are misdemeanors no longer a problem, and so the crime is going up. Really, it's not dissipating. It's even more bloated than what they're reporting, because now they're not having to report certain things in a way where we can, tabulate. And it's putting us all at risk. And so I'm glad to hear that you're stepping up and you're speaking out about the lawlessness of our AG.
Yeah. And, while they're doing those things, reducing penalties for crime, what we're doing to our first responders, our line police officers and sheriff's deputies, is we're requiring them to take down the ethnicity, the sex, the sexual orientation of everyone they talk to out on the street, whether the person's being arrested or not. We're wasting incredible amounts of law enforcement time filling paperwork out for bureaucrats in Sacramento, when what we really need is our policemen and sheriff's deputies out protecting our neighborhoods. Right. But that's not the game in the Attorney General's office. The game is to see how much time we can waste of our first responders. But worse yet, they now have legislation that they're trying to pass this legislative session that would not only eliminate cash bail so that when we put a criminal in jail, they will now get out about as fast as we put them in jail.
Like within 12 hours, right? I mean,
within 12 hours, exactly.
It's insane.
And worse than that, we're going to have law enforcement have to go through a checklist before they can use deadly force. How many people like you and I, like the people watching this show today, are going to be put at risk to be shot, wounded, or killed we're going to have a state that's going to look a lot like Chicago by the time this attorney general and the group in the legislature are done. I have kids that live in this state. You have kids. I want my kids to be safe. I want to be safe in my home. And you can't be safe if everybody's spending all their time, everybody being the attorney general and the politicians in Sacramento, are spending all of their time focused on make work projects as opposed to law enforcement.
As opposed, my father, he was a police officer when I was a little girl, and while he was getting his master's, and he, my mom didn't know if he was going to come home at night. She was concerned he would go out there, and his job was to be, peace officer and police, and these are sons, dads, brothers, sisters, mothers, these are people too, just doing the good work as servants, and to have to go through for the bureaucrats and do such a thing and put their life on the line while they're hesitating, it's horrific. So now I have to ask you, has that bill gone through, the one you're talking about for the bail? Are they still working on it?
The bail bill passed the Assembly yesterday.
Right.
It now goes back to the state Senate for concurrence on the amendments. Those who are watching this program, you still have time to call your legislator and tell them vote no on SB 10.
Right.
This is a public safety emergency.
This is. So now this SB 10, I know I'm using a little bit of your time for this, but I think it's so important because it all ties together, and
it does.
It does. And this SB 10, are they looking at doing this by next week, or is this something that'll get resolved this week? I mean, are they kicking the can, or are they being real aggressive?
It happens this week, or it doesn't happen. The legislature adjourns at the end of the week.
Yeah.
So, don't hesitate. This is something that everyone listening to this program can join together in. Call your local legislator and tell them to vote no on SB 10, the, quote, bail reform bill, which in fact is going to put us all at risk.
Major risk. I mean, it's phenomenal. I saw some of your posts. I think I retweeted something, and I went back and I was looking through, and I was just astounded. I mean, it's bad enough they're legislating straws and they put all these other, initiatives through, but this is frightening.
This is dangerous.
This is very dangerous, and so I'm glad to see that you're taking action. Now, where can Judge Bailey? We're so grateful that you're able to come on the show. Could you please tell us a little bit about your platform and where people can find out more information on your campaign, get involved, time, talent, treasure, part of that is contributing? That'd be wonderful.
Yeah, the basic platform is we need to elect an attorney general that's going to protect California families, whose focus is on our kids and our grandkids and making California a better place to live. Being number 50 in quality of life is not where Californians want to be, and they've been taken there by the politicians in Sacramento and the politicians from the governor to the attorney general right on down.
Right.
Those of you who want to find out more about me can go to my website at bailey4ag.com. That's BAILEYFORAG.com. And you can volunteer on that website. You can contribute at the website. Obviously, to get our message out, it costs money. And so any amount, whether it's $5, $50, $500, is very important at this time because we're preparing our messages and preparing to get out to talk to voters.
Right.
So, Erin, thank you for having me today. I certainly appreciate it.
Well, of course.
And anytime you want me back, happy to come.
Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And we really like that you're working also to bring Californians together. No matter what part of the aisle that they're on, we're at a place where we need lawlessness returned. Our families need a safe place to live, and I want to stay in California. Many people do want to stay in California,
That's
so
right.
we need to elect people like you. So yes, we will have you back on the show maybe closer to November and get an
Thank you.
update for you. God bless you. Stay safe out there, and give your wife my regards.
I certainly will. Thank you.
To hear more and to learn more on how you can make an impact or about the Erin Cruz Show, visit us online at erincruz.com. That's ERINCRUZ.com.